I am taking you through my favorite week of the year in this video, which is the week between Christmas and New Year's. I love how it feels like time has been paused and I can really get creative, and especially I enjoy cooking some really good, comforting meals during this time. So I'm going to share with you some things that I'm cooking for my family and give you some ideas, some recipes, as well as some thoughts and goals that I have for this new year. I recently bought this amazing local grass-fed organic chuck roast from a small little butcher shop nearby, and it was pricey, and so I wanted to use it on something special, and I decided to make chuck roast tacos, which I have not ever done before. I love chuck roast, but I've never used it as like a shredded taco meat, so I'm trying that here. I did your typical spices for tacos. I did cumin, chili powder, oregano, onion, garlic, pepper, salt. I'm gonna rub it all over the chuck roast and get it seasoned really well. So I'm heating up olive oil in a nice Dutch oven pan, getting all the seasoning and garlic in the crevices of the meat as best I can. And I'm gonna saute some onion and garlic first, get that just flavor on the bottom of the pan, and then I'm going to sear the meat a little bit on each side just to sort of lock in the flavor. And then I'm gonna add the lime juice all over the top. This recipe is just sort of one I've made up. As I've mentioned in other videos, I am sort of an aspiring home chef. Just what I mean by that is I really want to be good at cooking. I want to know what I'm doing in the kitchen and just be able to throw things together without any problems. I just think that would be a nice skill to have, and it's something I've been working on pretty much ever since I got married. When I first got married at the age of 21, I didn't know how to cook, and I've had a lot of fun just learning lots of skills. And I really feel like I came alive when I got married and my life really began. I started learning and doing lots of new things, and I just haven't stopped. This is my daughter. She's helping me with, we're making sourdough tortillas. These didn't turn out super amazing or anything, but they were fine. They were edible. We got it on the table. I've also been using freshly milled wheat, and so we tried that for the tortillas, which made them a little bit more rustic, but it was perfectly fine and good. So the meat, I cooked it low and slow for about 3 hours at 325. And then after those 3 hours, I took it out, shredded it up. And then this time I put it back in with no lid. I cranked up the heat to 425 and cooked it for another 25 to 30 minutes or so until the meat was nice and crispy. And then now I'm just rolling out the tortillas. I have a cast iron pan that is on low to medium behind me, and I'm just going to one by one cook these tortillas. I was actually able to hand this job over to my daughter, and then my son ended up having a fun time watching these bubble up and flipping them for me. So I ended up passing this job off to my 11-year-old and my 8-year-old, and they handled it beautifully. So if you have kids, you don't be afraid to get them cooking in the kitchen. They find a lot of satisfaction in doing that, and it also helps them, the kids, to eat healthier because they feel good that they helped make the food. The meat turned out so amazing. It was extra crispy and flavorful. That's just the way I like it for tacos. And so if you've never used a chuck roast for tacos, let this be your sign to give it a shot. We could have used some extra toppings on these tacos, but we really didn't have much left in the fridge, and I didn't want to leave the house at all this week. And so we just relied on your basic cheese and sour cream and lettuce, and it was great. Welcome to the last day of the year. This is that week that I love. It's my favorite week of the year between Christmas and New Year's, where we just really take it easy. We hang out around the house. The kids play with their new Christmas toys. I try and keep my schedule really light And I feel like it's the only time of the year that I truly rest. And for me, resting is really just like getting creative or having time to think about things I would like to do. I like to make lists, and I'm really thinking about this next year and things I want to do. And so I did get a planner for the new year. I'll show you what I got. So I got the Day Designer. I don't know if you can see that. And I chose this one because they have a daily schedule. So I really like that because I feel like I need more discipline in my days. I feel like there are a lot of things that I could do if I didn't waste time. Like, think about how much time we sit around and scroll on our phone. As much as I don't like to admit it, I mean, I feel like we all do it. And I'd like to use my rest time in a different way, like maybe reading or learning something. I just think there are a lot better ways to utilize my time. And I'm the kind of person who like loves productivity. I love to be efficient. I love to like feel motivated and to feel inspired and to just kind of like get at it. So this is the kind of template for this planner. All right, and so because tomorrow is January 1st, I can go ahead and start my plans for the rest of the week. So today is Tuesday, and for me, my plans kind of start with like things I need to do in the house and meal plans. I feel like those are like necessary items, and then obviously like whatever I have work related, I'm gonna pencil in there. But for right now, I'm going to put in our meals for the week. All right, so focusing on dinner tonight, I'm gonna make meatballs in marinara sauce in the slow cooker. And we've had a lot of good slow cooker meals lately, so if that goes well, I'm gonna share that on my new blog. I'm gonna go ahead and start making garlic bread dinner rolls with freshly milled flour. Okay, so we are in my pantry now. It's a little bit of a mess at the moment, but this is where I've been keeping my grain mill. And I've been really excited lately about using fresh grains and milling my own flour. I have a store not too far away from me called Bread Beckers. And if you've ever looked into them, they also have a podcast and they talk a lot about the benefits of milling your own flour. And because I have kids who love bread and it's so affordable and it fills everyone up, I just wanted to make our bread as healthy as possible. So I'm doing sourdough and I'm also doing freshly milled flour. For these garlic rolls, I did 490 grams of flour. I measured out the wheat berries to 490 grams and then I milled it. So I'm not sure how many cups that was exactly, but I did mostly hard red wheat and then also some einkorn. Then I did a cup and a half of water, 100 grams of starter, 60 grams of butter, 80 grams of honey, 2 teaspoons of salt, and 2 teaspoons of yeast because I was going to be making these the same day. And I put those all in my bread machine, and I put my bread machine on menu number 12. This is the KBS bread machine, and it is going to mix up my dough and rise it for me, and then I can shape it and put it in a pan later before I actually bake it in the oven. This loaf of bread that I'm cutting is a different sourdough loaf that I made a day prior, and I just always like to have some sort of bread, freshly made bread on hand. We eat sandwiches a lot, my kids eat toast a lot, and then every afternoon I really like to make a piece of toast with peanut butter and honey and a cup of coffee, and it's like my afternoon treat. I love it so much. All right, the first thing I gotta do is chop this giant block of Parmesan cheese because I'm gonna use it in the meatballs. And I'm actually gonna show you a little trick. For these meatballs, you're going to need 2 bowls. One will be for the meat, the other will be for the sauce that we're gonna make in the slow cooker. So first you're gonna take a whole onion, cut it in half. You're gonna dice half of that and put it in the sauce bowl. And then the other half you're going to grate, and that's gonna get mixed in with the meat. You're gonna take about 6 cloves of garlic, mince it, put half of it in the meat bowl and half of it in the sauce bowl. And then you're gonna add your meat to the bowl. I did 1.5 pounds of ground turkey and 1 pound of ground beef. And then I added in 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, an egg, a half cup of Parmesan cheese, and then I did 2 teaspoons of salt, oregano, basil, garlic, and onion. And then you're just gonna have to mix that all together really well to get all those flavors blended in together. The reason that I used ground turkey instead of just ground beef is because it's cheaper, and so it extends our meal even further, and you know, it's just a little more affordable for our family. I also completely forgot I added a half cup of almond flour. You can also do breadcrumbs. This helps get the meatballs to be nice and soft and not too dense. And now moving on to the marinara sauce that we're gonna make right into the slow cooker. I put a can of whole San Marzano tomatoes, and I mixed those up in the blender, which was already dirty from the Parmesan cheese. And then I'm sauteing the garlic and onion in the slow cooker. My slow cooker is great because it has a saute function. I added a little bit of tomato paste for some extra flavor, and I'm blooming those spices by heating them up with the oil and everything else before I mix in the sauce. And I did oregano, basil, salt, pepper, just your basic Italian seasonings, and also some parsley. And then I put the tomatoes in there. I also had some extra marinara sauce that we had made for pizza a few days prior. So I added that in. And instead of just putting, the meatballs into the slow cooker, I first fried them up a little bit and just got them brown just slightly on the edges. I did this so that they would have a nice little crisp on the outside, and also so that they would hold their shape nicely. And this was a good idea. It worked out very well. And so just gently, I placed the meatballs into the sauce because I didn't want to smush these meatballs. There was a lot of meat here, but it was the right amount for our family. It lasted for 2 solid meals, which is what I was hoping for. So after you nestle them all in the marinara sauce, you're going to just close the lid and let that slow cook. And it doesn't look like there's enough sauce, but there is. Over time, it will start to all meld together.
Oh my gosh. I had to put my dough in the fridge because it is exploding and I'm trying to slow it down. I guess with the bread machine and the yeast and the sourdough starter, it can be a little much.
This dough has been rising in the bread machine for the past couple of hours, and now I'm dumping it onto the counter, and I'm going to shape it into garlic bread rolls. And I have some olive oil and garlic and salt in that little glass jar, and I'm preparing a casserole dish. I'm just going to basically cut this dough up into little strips and brush some of that garlic oil on it and roll it up and place it in the pan. There are a lot of ways you could do this, and this is just how I decided to do it on this night, and it worked out great.
I want to try it too.
Is it hot?
A little hot. Tastes good. Slow on it. Yum.
So this was our New Year's Eve party, a laundry night, folding laundry on the kitchen island, a nice home-cooked meal, and we ended up playing some board games and just honestly having a really lovely evening as a family. My husband stayed up late with the older kids because they were super excited to stay up till midnight, and some of our neighbors put off some fireworks, so it ended up being just a perfect way to end the year and to start the next year, and we are so thankful.
It looks really good.
You are so
I baked these rolls at 400 for about 15 to 20 minutes, and after I pulled them out, I brushed them with butter and topped them with some extra Parmesan cheese.
Extra clay I have. I have so much extra clay.
Oh, nice.
I have like a whole bag of extra clay.
Oh my gosh, look at these.
I just did the black pepper.
Okay, well, what is
These turned out so good. These buns are made with 100% freshly milled whole grains.
Great job.
Dad, I'm so excited to have with Dad.
You can dip it in the marinara.
And maybe later I should have those chocolate things.
All right,
because I
dinner's
like
ready.
chocolate.
How does it taste? I know, I tried it some.
That is good.
Happy New Year, everyone. Thanks for watching, and I left links for everything that I used, like my slow cooker and my bread machine. I left those links down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.